Hello, this is Claus Jensen presenting a very nice game from the Dortmund 2012 tournament. And for some reason, Kramnik has always played very well in Dortmund. And the game from round 2 that you're about to watch is certainly no exception. White is Jan Gustafsson, a strong grandmaster rated over 2600, and black is of course Vladimir Kramnik. And as we shall see, Kramnik surprised his opponent by playing an opening he hasn't played for many years. Gustafsson opened d4. Knight f6 from Kramnik, c4 and g6. An interesting choice, and after knight c3 one could wonder if Kramnik is going for the Grünfeld with the d5 now, but no. He goes for a king's engine, bishop g7. e4, d6, knight f3, castles, bishop e2 and e5, and this is the classical king's engine, and Gustafsson plays his pet line bishop e3. And at this point black has several playable moves, which is in Kramnik's favor here because he has never played this line before as black, so Gustafsson is surely out of preparation against Kramnik here. c6 from Kramnik, not the main move, but it is a well-known move in this position, and now white also has a lot of choices here, and the main consideration white has to do is whether to lock the center with d5 or not. And Gustafsson chooses not to close the center. He plays castles, which he has been played before. E takes d4 from Kramnik, knight takes, rook e8, and now comes f3, which is Gustafsson's normal move in this position. He played it all the way back in 2007 against Cotronius, and he also played it last year against Mace. So Kramnik knew how Gustafsson would play this opening. d5, c takes, knight takes, knight takes, c takes. And back in 2007, Gustafsson here played queen b3, but in the before mentioned game last year from against Mace, he played rook c1, and in this game Mace played knight c6, and after knight takes, b takes, rook takes. Then Gustafsson had a slight advantage because of his pawn majority on the queen side. But after rook c1, and Kramnik played a5 here, and this was a novelty, and this is Kramnik's try to improve on the Gustafsson Mace game from last year. Gustafsson plays queen b3 here, the natural continuation, and also a move he played back in 2007 before he played rook c1. But now Kramnik has a tactical continuation. He can play a4 here, and this is in fact sacking a pawn because Gustafsson now can take on d5, queen takes, e takes, and of course now Kramnik cannot take on e3 because of rook takes c8 check, and after bishop f8 then d6 is strong for white. But Kramnik can continue his a pawn advance, a3, and all of a sudden this is a bit critical for white. An alternative to the move played in the game was to take on a3, but I don't think it looks very inviting for white to allow the black rook into the game in the a file. So Gustafsson plays b3 here, and Kramnik still seems to be in preparation in this game because his next move came almost instantly, and it must have been quite a shocker for Gustafsson to see the move that Kramnik played in this position, and the move was knight c6. And the logic behind this move is of course that the bishop on c8 is no longer hanging, so the white bishop on e3 is now emprise. And let's have a look at some possible continuations for Gustafsson here. Knight takes c6, for example. Then rook takes e3, king f2, and then the nice rook takes e2, king takes, b takes, and now Kramnik has a very nice position. It's an open position with two bishops. If g takes c6 here, then bishop a6. This is clearly winning for black. And if instead rook to d1, then c takes, and again here he has a bishop pair for rook, and this is looking very good for black. And always there's a bishop sack on b3, threatening to move the a pawn forward. So this a3 pawn is a real menace for white. Instead of knight takes c6, white could have played d takes c6 here, but then comes rook takes e3, and then there's problems with the undefended knight on d4, and if the knight moves or is taking, then the bishop on e2 is also hanging. C takes b7, then bishop takes b7, and we still have this problem with the knight on d4 and the bishop on e2. Rook f to d1, for example, then bishop takes and rook takes. And black is up a whole piece. So d takes c6 is losing. Oops, came too far back here. Another and an interesting idea here is knight e6, with the idea of blocking the e-file and also a threat of a fork on c7 in some lines. And if, for example, f takes e6 here, then knight c7. Oops, sorry. Then d takes c6. And the e-file is blocked, and white is winning. And if instead after knight e6, then knight b4, which is the main idea for Kramnik anyway, then a computer line here goes knight c7, knight takes a2, knight takes the rook, and black takes the rook, and bishop b2, and then the a pawn is going for conversion. So all these lines show how critical the position can quickly be for white. So Gustafsson plays knight c2, which is a very logical move. It defends the bishop on e3, and it protects the b4 square. But now the knight on c2 is overworked, however, and because it has this doubled option of defending the bishop and the square b3, and therefore Kramnik can play the exchange sack here. Rook takes e3, and he played this almost instantly. Knight takes, and then comes knight b4 with the nasty threat knight takes a2. And since Kramnik's passer in the a file is now very dangerous, Gustafsson logically tries to block the a file. He plays rook c4, knight takes a2, and rook a4. But after rook takes, and b takes, then we could say that Gustafsson's operation has succeeded. He has closed the a file, but unfortunately for him, the patient dies anyway because of another problem in the white position. Bishop d4, the pinning of the knight. And after king f2, then knight b4. And then Kramnik has ideas like knight takes d5 or knight c2, both moves attacking the pinned knight on e3, and also after knight c2, the knight supports the pawn advance to a1. Rook c1 from Gustafsson, a counter-attack, attacking the bishop on a8, but Kramnik is in control and he can simply play a2 here. Rook takes the bishop, king goes, rook back to c1, but then comes knight takes d5, rook d1, and knight takes e3. And in this position, Gustafsson resigned the game because he cannot prevent Kramnik from promoting the a pawn, and after he has to give up the rook for the queen, then he's simply a piece down in the endgame. So this was a lot of preparation from Kramnik, and showing that you can still in modern chess surprise your opponent. And I think it was a very nice game from Kramnik, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my chess website at klausjensen.com. Bye bye for now.